Hey everybody, Evan Ronan here with tip number 2 for beginning writers. A lot of times we focus on productivity and goals, and some people are adverse to that. More creative types, they don't want to think about being kind of boxed in with numbers and to-do lists or tasks that they have to, complete. That they're afraid that it might turn what is this creative passion into this kind of soulless enterprise. And just wanted to encourage beginning writers to actually give goals a try, even if you have that kind of knee-jerk reaction to it. The idea of goals actually helping you is based in science, and there's been a lot of social studies around this. There is what is known as the Hawthorne Effect, and you might have heard of this before. It came, I guess it was something they did at some kind of business or other, some kind of like manufacturing business. Anyway, they found that when they measured how people were doing, surprise, surprise, their productivity actually increased. In other words, when people knew they were being watched, naturally they worked harder. And this also works when it's you yourself measuring yourself. So if you give yourself a daily goal that you have to hit, you're more likely to hit it, or you're more likely to actually do the work, knowing that you're kind of monitoring your progress closely on a day-to-day basis. So a lot of writers, seasoned writers, will come at this numerically. So they'll say, I want to do 250 words or 1,000 words or 5,000 words a day, whatever the number is for them that they like to work at. They'll have a set number in their head, so going into it, they know that this is how much I have to get done. Some people don't like to think of it quantitatively like that. They feel like word counts are just kind of arbitrary, and in a sense, they obviously are. I mean, 1,000 words may or may not be a good starting point and ending point, depending on where you are in your story. So there's actually another way to look at it that some people like to do. And rather than think of it in quantitative terms, they'll think of it in more content or qualitative terms, I guess you could say. So if you're telling a story that's, genre fiction, and you guys know what I mean by genre fiction, mysteries, suspense, thrillers, action, somewhat fantasy to a certain extent, and you're following kind of storytelling conventions, then every 3 to 5 pages, there's going to be some kind of turn or significant event in the story that reveals something new, raises the stakes for the characters. Maybe it's a reversal of fortune, something like that, every 3 to 5 pages. And what that basically is if you think of it in movie terms, is that's a scene. That's one scene. And if you'd rather think of productivity in terms of all I have to do today is write one good scene, that's more palatable to some people than thinking in terms of numbers. So, all I've got to do today is write this really great scene where the hero does this. And if you look at it that way, that might help you with your productivity as well. Lo and behold, if you do manage to write a scene, or even half a scene, you'll probably end up writing about 1,000 words a day, which is pretty cool. So if you look at it that way, one of those two ways, if you say, okay, I'm just going to write one scene, or I'm going to try and get about 1,000 words a day, if you do that every day for a year, just think about how many words that is. I mean, that's over 360,000 words. Now, are you going to keep all of those words? No, probably not. But you're going to keep most of them, and a significant majority of them, actually. So let's say that you do that every day. You edit a lot of them out or some of them out. You end up at the end of the year with about 300,000 words just from writing. Remember, just from writing one scene a day, you get about 300,000 words at the end of the year. Depending on what genre you're writing in, that volume could be 5, maybe 6 books for you. If you're writing in a longer form genre, I mean, that's still like, that could be 2 or 3 books for you. So that is a lot of content, and all it is just doing, again, one scene a day. If you think about it like that, I mean, if you tell yourself, geez, all I got to do is just write 3 or 4 pages of material a day, it's really not that daunting. And it's, all these little drops in the bucket kind of add up over time to the point where you're, over the course of a year, you're going to have all this great content. So just play with your goals. Try and come up with something that is both reasonable and stretches you a little bit. You don't want to overwhelm yourself and say, I've got to write 10,000 words a day. Some prolific writers are capable of that, but not a lot of people that I know are. And at the same time, don't fall into the trappings of going to the other extreme where you're not really pushing yourself. 250 words a day is, I think, about one double-spaced Microsoft Word page. That's really not a lot of words. I mean, you can write a 250-word email in about a minute or 2 minutes. Now, granted, storytelling is a little bit different and requires probably a little more thought than just kind of an informal email you might send to a friend. But 250 words is really not a lot of work. And, if you're doing 1,000 or 2,000 words a day and you're kind of in the flow of your story, you can get that done in a couple hours, sometimes less. So it's really not a lot of work. So another way of looking at the productivity is, okay, I can write 1,000 words a day. I can write one scene a day, or hey, all I got to do is write for 90 minutes a day. And at the end of the year, I'll have 5 or 6 books that I can put out. 90 minutes a day, that's it. I mean, that's just stop watching a little bit of TV and, you'll be able to do it basically. So that's it for tip 2. Remember to click subscribe to this channel. Key takeaways here are just give yourself a meaningful goal that stretches you just a little bit. And if you stick with it for a long period of time, you'll be amazed at how much you're able to do. So thanks for listening. If you have any questions or just want to reach out to me about anything, feel free to email me at my author address, which is Ronan, RONAN, iswriting @gmail.com. All right, thanks, folks.